It's the next level.
Hmm? Ah! Oh.
This must be my reward for good behavior, huh? I guess I earned myself some goodwill for finally drawing that map for Anna.
What map?
To my balloon. Did you?
No.
Wow, you guys have some real trust issues, don't you? Guess it makes sense she didn't tell you. I mean, with the two of you fighting all the time. Of course, if I was one of them, these people that you seem to think are your enemies, what would I do? Well, there'd be no balloon. So I'd draw a map to a real secluded place. Like a cave or some underbrush. Good place for a trap. An ambush. And when your friends got there, a bunch of my people would be waiting for them. And then they'd use them to trade for me. I guess it's a good thing I'm not one of them, huh? You guys got any milk?
Welcome, everyone, once again, as we head back to the island from the Next Level Podcast Network. I am Ben Beck.
And from the Podcastica Network, I am Kristen Howe. This week, we are covering season... Oh, my gosh.
We're already off to a great start.
I wasn't ready.
Do you want to start over?
This week...
Oh, keep going.
This week, we are covering Season 2, Episode 16, The Whole Truth of Our Lost Rewatch.
This is going to be a fun episode.
Well...
We're already off to a great start.
I don't know what happened. Like, I was looking at the agenda, and I still screwed it up, so...
That's all right. We like to leave outtakes in, so it works.
Hey, man, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited because I know we took the week off last week, but we're back to it this week, and I'm even more excited because I get to see you as well as a bunch of other people in person this weekend.
Yay! I know it's going to be really fun.
I think by the time this is online and people are listening to this, you and your husband are going to be already on your way or gearing up to leave to come up this way.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Really excited. It's going to be a really good time.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And the cool thing about it is, too, that our next podcast, we're going to be recording while you're here. So it's going to be in person.
Yes.
Which is going to be
that will be interesting. We'll probably start throwing shit at each other.
Probably.
I'm really excited for it. And it's a good episode to do it, too.
Oh, so. It's Lockdown, which, is a fantastic episode.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I'm excited.
But as in regards to this episode, first and foremost, real quick, obviously this is a spoiler-full podcast, so we do talk about the past of the show as well as the future episodes of the show. So if this is your first watch of Lost, we appreciate you spending it with us, but we do apologize ahead of time for anything we might ruin for you as we're talking about this. But we talk about next week being an amazing episode. This week, I think, was kind of. It's a good episode. It's not like an amazing episode, I don't think.
Yeah, I look, it's very Jin and Sun centric. So I obviously love those episodes a little bit more than I love your average episode. And it has a really good B story. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, if nothing else, and this is one of my notes, and we can use this to kind of kick it off, is that this episode, more than anything else, I think shows us as viewers how far Jin and Sun have come in just a short amount of time. I completely agree.
I completely agree. And what's funny is that I had this in my notes as well. So we can just start off with Jin and Sun. But Jin Jin goes back to old habits, right? There's a saying, old habits die hard. But in this case, it wasn't from a feeling of control. It was from a feeling of him being scared. Since they said, let's see, Ana Lucia told Locke, I've been here for over a week now. So not a lot of time has gone by since Shannon died, since Sun's attack that, Charlie did. So it's only been a couple of days. So Jin, I think, is in the right for being scared of her being alone in her garden, since that's where they attempted, or where her attack took place. But he does it in a way that is very reminiscent of how he used to be when they lived in Korea. So it was nice to see Jin realize his mistake at the end when he says, I'm fixing a mistake. I really enjoyed the fact that he realized that he went too far. He knew why he went too far, and he rectified it. And that to me shows the most of how far, like you said, how far they've come.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think it's really weird to think about too, as you mentioned, because I didn't even really put that together, that you're right. There has really only been a week, maybe at the most, that has passed through all this. And when you put it into that perspective, I already agreed with Jin's reasoning behind it, or why he reacted the way he did and reacting out of fear. But, at the same time, when you put it in the perspective that it has only been a week, man, that really shines a light on Sun and the fact that she was attacked in her garden, and in less than a week, she's already back to doing what she's doing. Like, that shows that woman herself has no fear. Like, she's not going to let anything like that control her. She's going to go right back to what she was doing. Because I know me personally, if I was attacked in a garden, I'm not going back to that garden for a while.
Yeah, you're right. And I think that does show a lot about how far she's come as a character as well since coming on the island, because she was very submissive when she arrived. She was beaten down, and she was very emotionally and mentally abused from first her father and then her husband. She had made the decision to leave her husband, but now she was stuck on the island. And since being stuck on the island, she has been able to literally shed her outer skin. She wears tank tops. She exposes her skin. She has said no. She has drawn the line. She speaks English. She's become very independent. And I think by doing that, by empowering herself to be as independent as she's even been left by her husband. I mean, her husband left her for a little bit.
Yeah.
So she's learned how to be by herself, and she's learned that she has a great amount of strength in her. And I think that that's great. That was also displayed. So, you see actual growth in both of the characters individually, but you also see how strong that individual growth has made their marriage. It's beautifully, beautifully written.
Yeah, and I want to, you talked a little bit about how by the end of the episode we see, Jin wanting to correct a mistake. And I personally, that scene with them in the garden at the end of the episode, and I know we're kind of skipping around a little bit, but we're still talking about, Jin and Sun. That to me was probably, I think, one of my favorite moments from this entire episode. And because seeing
when they said "I love you" to each other,
oh my God,
tears in my eyes.
When she says "I love you" and he says it back to her in English, that to me said so much more than just "I love you."
Well, and she said it very casually, like something that they say every day. However, you could tell from Jin's reaction that has not been said to him in a really long time. And I loved it that it stopped him in his tracks, and it stopped her, and they looked at each other and they realized the kind of the gravity of that moment. And then he came down and he reciprocated, and he did so in English, like you said. And oh gosh, one of the most beautiful moments to happen so far on the show.
Yeah, I'm 100%. No lie, I'm literally getting chills just thinking about
Me
that.
Me too.
It is. I mean, like I said, to say that the way he did, like, as you mentioned, to get down to her level, And I don't mean like she's a lower character. I mean like literally she's kneeling down on the ground.
He did a squat.
Yeah, to kneel down to where she is, to touch her face and say it in English, speaks so much more than just those 3 words. And you're right. It's one of the most beautiful scenes. It breaks my heart knowing like these characters.
They're just so tragic. I know.
Like it really does, because you want them to succeed in the most successful way or in the best way that they can. And it's just, they're destined for what they're destined for is just, it's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? I love it that we get these little nuggets of goodness. I think it's wonderful. So their story is just awesome. And, talking about how far they've come, I mean, you see in the very beginning of the episode, it starts with that flashback where, Sun comes in and, a really nice little piece of lingerie, and Jin is sitting there and I don't know why I thought it was their wedding night because of how nervous they both looked, or like he looked super confident, but she looked really nervous. It was really strange. And then it turned into this like fight. And, then you learn they've been trying for a year. Maybe a baby will fix everything. And it's like this fight. It's the fight that anybody that's been married for a while, you always have a fight. Right. And if you guys get into, and if there's even a small little argument, if you let it blow up enough, you'll eventually get to the fight with a capital T, capital F, right? Like everybody has the one issue in their relationship where if you let an argument get that far, that's the end. That's the end. Like you're nothing's happening that night or the next night, possibly for quite a while.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's funny too, because like watching that scene, I had completely forgotten about that scene until my first watch of this episode. And I swear, I think I literally, as I was watching that scene, I'm sitting at I'm sitting watching, and I think I audibly out loud was going like with those two, and then an audible in my head record scratch when he looks at her and says, "Did you take your temperature?" And before she even says, "Isn't that romantic?" I'm like, wow, way to kill the mood, dude. Like, but that's exactly right. Like that was the way that scene played out. And, you mentioned, having a baby will fix things. I think even me, as never been a parent, but you having 2 wonderful kids, you learn over time by watching other people and some people experiencing it on their own. A baby doesn't fix problems. So to hear him say,
it magnifies them.
Exactly. So for him to say, well, maybe you're and I totally understand his logic of him having an unsafe job and maybe having a baby will make her father kind of give him a safer job. I understand the logic, but it's not the way to approach having a child.
And that fight about his job, that's the fight, right? That's the fight. Even when they were in the doctor's office and they learned that, Jin thinks that she has advanced endometriosis and they can't have a baby, blah, blah, blah. And he says, "Did you trap me into this?" Right. And she's like, "Oh yeah, I trapped the son of a fisherman." So even then, they're starting to wade back into the fight, right? It's the subject that's always there. It never goes away. And I think that the island is that it's that baby for them. It's this fixes everything. This is where we can actually be ourselves and be the people that we fell in love with before her father got involved into their marriage. And I think this is kind of the marriage that both of them have always wanted and they were never able to have.
Yeah, no, I could totally see that. But one of
the fight is taken away.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and on that note too, it's one of the reasons why, jumping again towards that final scene with them in the garden together, I love how that scene started with Jin fixing the plants, replanting the plants that he ripped out. Like that was already such a good move on his part. But in that moment where she tells him, that she's pregnant, which we'll get to more of that as we further discuss. But when that moment where she tells him that he's pregnant, or that she's pregnant, that elation that he has and that joy in his face, that's pure joy, because of the fact that everything that the reasons why he wanted to have a baby the first time, with her father wanting to get a safer job and how it would fix things, none of those problems exist anymore. So to hear that you're going to be a father and to feel that happy, knowing that like he is simply happy to be a dad. He's not happy because this is going to fix things. None of those problems are there. They don't need to be fixed because they don't exist. So now when he's finding out he's a father, this is pure joy in his face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which just made me smile, like when he picks her up and spins her around, only to be taken down a peg by the news that she gives him next. But, in that moment, that was pure happiness, and that made me smile watching that.
Yeah, I agree. Though you really, really got a sense of who they were, who they are, how, great episode for both of them. I loved, the more we sit here and talk about the two of them is the more I realize that I really do love this episode a lot.
I think I start to realize I liked this episode a little bit more than I
probably
said,
a little bit more than you thought.
Yeah. And it's purely for them. I mean, it's, I read in one of the reviews earlier when the show had first aired, like it speaks volumes to know that an audience is so engaged in two characters when you can make them read half the episode.
That's right, huh?
You force them to read half the episode, but people are still engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And because you do, like, most of their flashback, there's a little more English in their flashback, but for the most part, it's still in Korean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
So, but
you're right.
We're still.
But you know what? One of the best episodes of Fear the Walking Dead I ever saw was, I think, 90%, if not all of it, was Spanish subtitles.
Yeah, that's true.
That was still to this day probably the best episode of Fear that they've ever done. So, if you have a story that's good enough, it's never going to matter how they present it if the story is compelling.
Yeah, that's really true. That's true. Yeah, I mean, it speaks volumes about like how like foreign films are and stuff too. Like
Life is Beautiful.
Yeah, like, oh my God, Roberto Benigni, like that's a fantastic movie. Which I haven't seen in years.
I love that movie.
I should watch that again.
I can't. Holocaust movies and me, we watch it once, we move on, cry. It's I can't really watch that kind of stuff more than once. It just breaks my soul in half.
You're right. Like Schindler's List was one I've only ever seen one time. Life is Beautiful. I've only ever seen once. I think and I know we're getting off topic, but I think the only Holocaust movie I've ever watched more than once was Jacob the Liar.
I haven't seen that one.
It's a Robin Williams Holocaust movie.
Oh gosh.
Which is the reason why I watched it. And it's a drama. It's not a comedy. So but just he's such an engaging.
You can't make a Holocaust movie a comedy. You can't.
I know.
It's the closest that we'll ever get to that is Life is Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I don't want to make light of the Holocaust because it's not right.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that is like the one subject I think that is just you can't do it.
Yeah. It's just, and that, like I said, the only reason why I've watched that movie more than once was for Robin Williams, because I was such a massive fan, and still am. So I don't want to say was. But anyway, let's get back on track and
let's get off the Holocaust and onto the island.
Yes, exactly.
Strange sentences.
So I mean, there's a couple other things we can still talk a little bit about. The flashbacks with Jin and Sun, because there is what is his name?
Jay Lee.
That's it. They're leading us to believe at this point that there is still a possibility that Sun did in fact cheat on Jin with Jay. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, do we find out at one point they have indeed slept together?
So I was going to ask you the same question. Because we all know, look, anybody that's seen the series knows this is absolutely Jin's baby.
Yes.
But yeah, and because I know that, I think whatever she did before that, I can't remember. I'm sure anybody listening, if you do know, please let me know, because I forgot to go and look. But I'm pretty sure that she didn't cheat on him, but I could be wrong.
See, I'm thinking that she did. I'm thinking there was a short tryst. I mean, we do know with Jay's character, and again, spoilers for the future, he ends up meeting somebody in the United States, which leads him to leave the United States, which is what actually gives Sun the idea to do the same thing. But he never makes it, because he ends up committing suicide. He jumps out of the hotel window of his father's hotel.
Well, he probably did that because he loved his...
Oh, no, wasn't he gay?
Was he?
I think the person that he meets in the United States is a man. And I think it's after sleeping with Sun that he realizes he's gay. I may be way off on this.
Now I have to look it up.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking it up right now.
All right. Yeah. But you're right. I don't know. And this is one of the reasons why I like going back and revisiting the show after having not watched it for a while, is because there are things about this I don't remember.
This is definitely one of them.
Yeah. I swear, I think there was a moment they were together. But I don't know for sure. I have he's the wealthy. Okay. Jay Young Lee was the wealthy son owner of the hotel, the Seoul Gateway Hotel. He attended Harvard. Mr. Pig found out about the. Okay. He taught.
There was an affair.
Yeah, and ended up having an affair with her. He gave her a strand of pearls and asked her to leave for America. He ordered Jim. Couldn't bring himself. Oh no. Okay, so there wasn't anybody else. I'm completely wrong about him meeting somebody else.
Okay.
It was Mr. Paik found out about the affair, but instead of telling Jin about it, lied to Jin and told him Jay was stealing from him, addressing this in terms of honor. He ordered Jin to deliver a message to Jay. Jin found him and assaulted him, but couldn't bring himself to kill Jay, so he told him to leave the country and never return. Jay Lee ended up committing suicide.
Yep, jumped out of a window.
And landing on Jin's car.
And the episode... That sucks. That's why I laughed. And the episode that he died in was called The Glass Ballerina.
Yeah. Which I think is season 3. Yeah, season 3. It's actually the 3rd episode of season 3. So we'll be getting to that in the next couple weeks. Within like the next month or two. So, but yeah, okay. So there was I was mistaken and there was nobody else, and he's certainly not gay. So my apologies for that.
I'm sorry for anybody that has been yelling or punching your steering wheel. We're really sorry.
Yes, he wasn't gay. But I was right. They did have an affair. They did have a short affair. So yeah, it's because there's a part later on with Juliet in which it's a matter when they're testing Sun's pregnancy, whether she had the baby on the island or off the island. It's
absolutely one of my favorite Jin and Sun moments is when they get that ultrasound.
Yeah, because they know that if it was on the island, it's Jin's, and if it was off the island, it's Jay's. So that was when they find out whose baby it really was.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Wow, that was more into that flashback than I thought we were going to get into. But, it totally works because, hey, man, we're rediscovering things too.
And that's fun. Yeah, I think that's okay.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So we've covered a lot of the Jin and Sun aspect of the episode. What's something else you have in your notes that you wanted to kind of talk about?
So Henry Gale slipped up this episode.
Ooh, interesting.
I didn't notice it until my second watch, but when he first is speaking to Ana Lucia, when she first comes in and she says that she was, she landed on the other side of the island and, I should have written this part down. She says that she landed and that, in a different part of the island and somebody else was with her or something. And he said, and you walked all the way over here. And that was incredulous. And that was really surprising to him. And if he had landed on this side of the island with his balloon and he only stayed on the beaches because the jungle was, dense and dangerous and he was nervous around there and he wanted to try and get air support, how does he know how big that island is? How does he know that it's all the way over there unless he has intimate knowledge of the island?
That's a good point. I never really thought about that when he was telling that story.
So I think that he slipped up there. And then at the end, of course, when he sat there, we know how thin the walls are. We know that he's been listening the entire time with them saying, oh, what should we do with him a couple weeks ago? And he said, you can let me go.
Yes.
So we know that he can hear everything that goes on in the hatch. So he knew that Ana Lucia didn't tell them about the map. He knew that. And he decided to plant that seed of doubt and lay the groundwork for the trust issues anyways.
That whole final scene is with him, Locke, and Jack when they're just sitting eating the cereal, which, by the way, where the hell did that cereal come from? Didn't they empty all the food out of... Didn't Hurley give all the food away, with the exception of the stash that he has, which we see him eating the Apollo bar today? Where did that come from?
I don't know.
That was the whole point of the food, was Hurley decided to give it all away. So how do they have Dharma cereal?
I don't know.
I know you don't know. I'm just venting a minute.
I know. I don't know. You are raising a very good and valid question because I had the same thought. But,
okay. But yeah, that whole final scene, it's so funny because, watching earlier scenes with Henry and hearing the things that he's saying and how swarmy he could be, you kind of watch that scene and you kind of watch those scenes and you're like, ooh, this is an evil, evil man. Right? And I think this was the episode where I was the first time I saw it, I think this was the episode, and because of the reaction I had watching it again this time, I think this was the episode where I was like, wow, I really like this character. Because by the end of that episode, when he goes into that whole thing about, if I really were one of these people and I sent them off to this, I would have my people there as a trap and everything. And he says and then he wraps it up with, it's a good thing I'm not one of those people. By the way, have any milk? And that's how the episode ends. Yeah. I laughed. And I laughed an evil laugh. This guy's a genius.
Well, especially since I think you could tell Jack was letting him out as a power play against Locke.
Yep.
And Locke's surprised at seeing Henry Gale. Ben Linus is a character that can see weakness. He knows that Jack and Locke hate each other. He knows that seems to be a big problem within this group. He saw that Ana Lucia kept a pretty important piece of the interrogation away from them. Jack and Locke are busy worrying about Locke and Jack. I think that is the entire issue of this whole season. Jack and Locke can't get along, and they've decided that instead of just staying away from each other or learning to work together, they are passive aggressively manipulating each other through other people, and it's ridiculous. It's it's playground tactics. And Ben Linus has decided, I'm going to use this to my advantage, and I'm going to break you guys down.
Oh, he's exploiting the shit out of it.
Absolutely is. Absolutely.
And it's working. It's working on his benefit.
Yes, totally.
You're right. I think that you're right. That whole thing with Jack letting him out to have breakfast and seating him at the table with Locke, which was just a whole other step. You're right, was absolutely a power play against Locke, and Henry knows it. And that's why he goes into that whole thing about if I was one of them. He is totally putting doubt in their minds.
Mm-hmm. And he does it very well.
He does, and it's so much so that they're so against each other at this point. We talked about it last week about how if one person said the sky is blue, the other one would intentionally say it's purple, and when they go back and say no, you were right, it was blue.
Right.
They would change their opinion even if they were wrong.
Yeah. Whatever you say, I think the opposite. Fuck you.
Yeah. And at
That's
one point,
basically their attitude towards one another.
and at one point, Ana Lucia hits the nail on the head, when she says, well, Jack and Locke are too busy worrying about Locke and Jack.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
nobody argues that.
No, it's not just Ben that realizes this. Everybody else in the group realizes these two are at each other's throats.
Well, and you could really tell that they have this disdain for each other because, Locke is saying, I don't respect you enough to let you shower in private.
You're right.
And then Jack questions Locke's decision about bringing Ana Lucia in, like he forgot she's a police officer and that she was, Locke was right. If anybody on that island was going to question this guy, it should have been the cop who had, separate experience, a lot of experience, more than, any of the Losties. The Tailies had all the experience with the others. So, he was right in that situation, but Jack didn't like that idea because it wasn't his idea.
Yeah.
And, so you have this back and forth between them, and you can feel how much they hate each other. It makes me wonder if they stayed away from each other while filming and like maybe didn't get to know each other just to like stay in that mindset, because it's so palpable, this tension between the two of them.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, in that moment when he brings Ana Lucia in, I find it so humorous at the same time, too, when, he's like, well, what do you think about Ana Lucia? She's a cop and, she has experience with the others. And I forget what Jack's response is, but Locke's like, well, I already brought her in. She's in there with him right now. It's like, well, okay, like, not only am I whipping my dick out to show you it's bigger, but I'm also pissing on your cornflakes while it's out.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's like, all right, so I really don't care what you think. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah, so Jack gets back at Locke for saying, I know that you're having breakfast, but here's our prisoner.
Yeah, exactly. Like
really
I said,
strange.
Like I said, sitting him at the table with Locke. It's one thing to let him come out when he's a prisoner because Locke wants him locked up, but to then sit him down in front of Locke was just another like massive like mine is bigger than yours moment.
Yeah. All it is a pissing match between the two of them.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that shows that was a huge hint, or not just hint, but statement as to how these guys' train of thought is right now, is there's that moment where Ana Lucia approaches Locke on the beach about, I forget what does she initially talk to him about? Why does she approach him? Oh, no, it's Locke. That's right. Locke's the one waiting for her. She didn't approach him.
Yeah. She says, you've never said two words to me.
Yeah. But he says in that whole statement that he makes to Ana Lucia, he calls it my hatch.
It is his hatch.
Oh, it is his hatch. It is. You're right. But like he doesn't say we have a prisoner in the hatch. He says to Ana Lucia, my hatch. He is expressing dominance to that area, to Ana Lucia. Why else would he do that? Other than to kind of, I don't know.
I see what you're saying, and it's a great question. I think some of it has to do with the fact that every single time Locke tries to make a decision or take like a step forward, people ask him if he cleared it with Jack first. And I think it's important for Locke to know, okay, Jack can be, your leader or whatever while out here on the beach or in the caves. That's my hatch. I say what goes on in my hatch. And I think that needed to be said. I don't know. What do you think?
No, I think it needs to be said too. And I think you're right. I mean, I totally agree with you. It is Locke's hatch. Locke discovered it. But you know what? Thinking about it even more, going on to one of the points that you made before about how Jack wants things to be like his decision, like he wants people to believe it's his idea. Going back to when the hatch was discovered and John was trying to get in, who had to butt in and be part of the process to get into the hatch was Jack. Once they were in the hatch, who had to be part of the process into what happens in the hatch? Jack. Who had to be part of the process as to what happens with the food they found in the hatch? Jack. Jack has been butting in to, and I'm sorry to people who are Jack fans. So I'm sorry, Des. I know he's
so glad it's not me this week.
I know Des is a big fan of Jack's, but he has been butting into the process that you're right. If they would have just split the territory, like Locke says, the hatch is my territory, the beach is yours, the beach and the cave is yours. You take care of things. I make the decisions here. You make the decisions there. We would not be in the situation that they're in right now. They would not be butting heads the way they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would have been two factions that have eventually probably gone to war. But, you know, it's just things would be different right now if they would just stuck to their own area. But I think, and Locke has never butt into the decisions made at the beach or at the caves. It's been Jack who's been butting into the decisions in Locke's territory.
Yeah, Locke doesn't care.
No, he really doesn't. Yeah, like you said, walking in when he just got out of the shower and shaving with, you know.
That was awesome.
Not giving Jack any privacy. Locke just does not care.
No. He's like, well, you know, sorry, dude, but locker room mentality.
Yeah, there's like how many of us, and there's one bathroom. We're gonna share.
Yeah. But that was him saying that he didn't respect him enough to give him any privacy. And so Jack countered with, well, here's the prisoner at your breakfast table. It just, the whole thing is just so weird. So did you have anything else, though, that you wanted to say about Locke and Jack?
It's not really necessarily about Locke and Jack, but you mentioned the whole. I found this a lot of fun because I actually fell down a hole doing some research on this. You mentioned how Henry can very obviously hear through the door of the gun room, and they subtly make that kind of obvious that you can hear inside that room because there's a moment in the hatch where Locke is listening to music, and you can hear the music being played in the background while Ana Lucia is talking to Ben. So you can hear what's happening outside of that room, and they make it kind of clear. But one of the things I fell down a hole in is that one of the albums that Locke is holding is the Geronimo Jackson album, which we've gotten mention of before. So I wanted to look into it, and I'm like, okay, is Geronimo Jackson really a real group? Because I've never heard of them before, but the producers have said, you know, in multiple instances that, yes, they were a very obscure group. I looked into it. They're not. It was totally made up for the show.
Yeah, they're not.
But Damon Lindelof fought tooth and nail to make people believe this was actually a real group. Like, they went on podcasts as guests on podcasts and stated about it. And I think it was, where did I find that it finally came out? Like they even released music on iTunes as Geronimo Jackson to make people believe this was indeed a real group.
And yet we couldn't have a longer version of Hurley's Walking rap song.
That's right. That wasn't a real song.
No, it wasn't. And I want it so badly to be a real song.
Yeah, I did too, because that's one of my favorite moments of that episode.
Me too.
But yeah, there apparently it wasn't until 2010 in a Wired magazine article, one of the writers, Eddie Kitsis, confirmed that Geronimo Jackson is completely fictional. The group's music that was done on iTunes was performed by a band called The Donkeys, which was an indie quartet based out of San Diego.
The horse's ass.
Well, yeah, and because the cover album for the music that they uploaded to iTunes, the name of the it was just one song. Excuse me, sorry. It was one song, but the name of the song was called Dharma Lady. And that's how it appeared on iTunes. So yeah, it did conclusively come to be in 2010. It finally came to light that Geronimo Jackson is indeed a fictional band that was made purely for Lost.
Liars.
Lying
liars.
But to fight it for that long and to hide it and make people believe it for that long is kind of really brilliant.
Well, it also should have just told everybody that we would never really understand anything about the show, because no matter what they threw at us, they could just, manipulate us into thinking, yeah, this makes sense. This is why. Look at this real band that we just created.
Yeah, exactly. And the single that they released on iTunes, when we get to that episode, I think it's next season. When the episode with Hurley, Sawyer, Jin, and Charlie in the van, and the Dharma van, and the hill and all that. When they finally get the van started, the song that's playing on the radio is "Dharma Lady" by Geronimo Jackson.
Nice.
So
love it.
Yeah, I don't know why I fell down that hole, but I did.
Sometimes you fall down a hole,
and it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun, actually, like falling down that hole and doing all that research for it.
I've done that so many times with Game of Thrones.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure.
Yeah.
So nothing else with Jack and Locke. I just thought that was a fun little tidbit to go into.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the Geronimo Jackson album this again, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna look into it. Which is fun.
So what else do you have?
Let's see. Taking a look at my notes. I want to talk a little bit. I want to focus more on. Actually, before I go into the Ana Lucia, Saeed, and Charlie aspect of the episode, there's one moment with Jin approaching Sawyer on the beach, or Sun approaching Sawyer on the beach for the pregnancy test. Mm-hmm. If you look at the pregnancy test, you can see it's by Windemore, Windemore will come into play. Whitmer. Is it Whitmer? Widmore. Yeah, not Windemore, Widmore. You're right. Which Widmore comes into play later in the series. Yeah, so it's another Easter egg, again, proving that these writers knew where they were going with this show, because this is like 2 seasons ahead of when Widmore even comes into play into the series. They were already planning Easter eggs. But there's that interaction with Sawyer and Sun, when, she wants to look through and he's like, no, this isn't a pharmacy. And he says to her, well, why don't you tell me what you're looking for? And if I have it, it's yours gratis. And he gets her to reveal that she's looking for the pregnancy test. Sawyer is very smart. We've known this. He's very street smart. He says to Sun, it's yours gratis, meaning it's yours free. It's not free.
Nope, because he got information.
He got information. Exactly. That was the cost of getting the pregnancy test. Mm-hmm. That was not free at all. That information was the price.
But you know what? Sawyer. I love Sawyer. I loved it when he goes up to Jin. He's like, "Hey, Daddy-o." And then later at the very end of the episode, Jin goes, Daddy-o. Yes, I was like, I love that.
It's so great. And then when they're like kind of like smiling, realizing, okay, everybody probably already knows.
Because we'll be lucky if there's anybody left to tell.
Because Jin's like, well, Bernard knows. That interaction with Bernard and Sawyer on the beach, when you hear Jin listening and it comes up.
So awesome.
Do you know that is them legitimately saying stuff?
In Korean?
No, it's backwards.
Oh, very cool.
It's
like Walt.
Yes, and it's a conversation. I actually did some research into that too. Bernard says to Sawyer, well, how do you know? And Sawyer says, oh, I have my source. Well, aren't you going to tell him that? Not my place. You should tell him. Hell no, let Sunshine tell him. That's the conversation that Jin is hearing, all warbled like that.
I love the warble. I thought it was great because I've been in so many different situations where people are, I'm from Southern California, and while I know Spanish to a certain extent, I don't speak it fluently. And there are times where I've been in a situation where they're speaking so fast that I just sit there and I'm like, oh, I don't know what's happening. Yeah. And it sounds exactly like that, how Jin heard it. And so I loved that perspective. I thought that it was just really well done.
Yeah. Because it's always interesting. It's one thing that, as you mentioned, having experienced that before, how do you portray that on television. Like, how do you portray what somebody who can't understand is hearing?
Mhm.
And that was a good way to do it.
Because it all sounds like nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. Now, to us, we're over analyzers, so of course I reversed it, and that's what we got the conversation. But they could have also just warbled it. It didn't have to be anything. But I found it nice that they actually did it so that we could translate it if we wanted to.
Yeah.
So
Daddy-o.
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 You're right. At that moment at the end when Jin's like, Daddy-o. Like
Daddy-o.
That was just, it's so fun. Like, I love these characters.
It was adorable. Yeah, and the whole thing came together, so I really like that. I like it that he's like, Sawyer did tell me.
Yeah, Sawyer does indeed know. It was great
because he didn't get mad at Son for, other people knowing first, like Jack and Kay and Sawyer, because of, everything else. And that's a lot of growth from Jin as well, because Jin could have been like, excuse me, I'm your husband. I should be the one to know, blah, 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 blah. Like old Jin would have absolutely said that. But new Jin's like, daddy-o, yeah. All right.
One other thing I want to bring up about that whole beach scene, and then I'll turn it over to you for something else that you have. But how adorable was it that Bernard is looking for oysters so he can give a pearl to Rose?
The whole Bernard and Rose we barely had them in this episode, and I loved every second of it. Because not only did he's like sitting there and he's trying to go for oysters with this tangled up net, and he could barely catch fish as it is that we learned. But I loved it before because Rose is like, don't mind him. He's mad at the world. I am not. Blah blah blah. Like they're the most adorable couple. They were separated for 48 days and they just go right back into their ham and egging it. And I just thought it was wonderful. I thought everything about that was just beautiful, because when you find your person, like Rose and Bernard found, they were without their person, then they find their person. It was, you find your person, and it's like everything, it doesn't matter where you are, the whole world just kind of falls away and you're just living life with your person. Yeah. It doesn't matter how far apart you are, right. Things just fall back into place. Or like he goes, I don't know what day it is. She's like, it's Saturday, Bernard. And all of this happens because he forgot her birthday. And I love that. He's like, yeah, like, I don't even know what day it is. It's Saturday, Bernard. Like, Saturday, Bernard. I love it. And like I said, it's how adorable is it that he's trying so hard. Like, he wants to make up for the fact that he forgot her birthday. I know. Even though he has a legitimate reason for forgetting. I know. They've been separated for how long? And yes, he probably lost track of what day it is. I don't know if I would have remembered what day of the week it is, being there for that long. I would lose all concept of time. So he's trying so hard, and what's he do? He tries to find oysters in hope that he can find a pearl. The chances of finding a pearl in an oyster are already astronomical. He's a dreamer. And he is, but that's what makes him so great. Mm-hmm. I love it. It was so, I love the injection of Rose and Bernard in this episode too. I just thought it was so Saturday, Bernard. And I love that, like, they're just, the interactions that we get with them, that's pretty much how it is for the rest of the series. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're just old reliable. Yep. I love it. I love it so much. So I had to bring that up when we were talking about different things. Oh, that was on my list of things to talk about. So okay. Well, I'm glad that you did. What's something else that's on your list? I love the fact that Saeed found a way to forgive Ana Lucia. And I don't know that I'm that big of a person. Dave and I are catching up on Fear the Walking Dead right now. I know this is the second time I brought it up, which is weird because I don't love that. It's not the Holocaust, so we're good. Yeah, but I don't. It's not like I love that show like I love other shows. It's just two different parallels. But there's a pretty shocking death on Fear the Walking Dead, and then the person that killed that person, and then a family member, they're kind of teamed up together. You probably know what I'm talking about. Yes, I do. And we've been watching that, and I just keep saying, I'm not that big of a person. If you killed somebody that I love, I am not that big of a person. I know this about me. I will never forgive you. I'm sorry. I even if it's an accident, I would have a hard time ever looking at you in the face again. And Saeed, because of his history, because of what he's done in the past, because of the people that he has been forced to kill or whatnot, it's like he's telling Ana Lucia, it was a mistake. You were protecting your people. You were doing what you thought was right. It's the others that killed him. And it's probably what Saeed tells himself. He says, it's not me that tortured and killed these people. It's the people I was working for. They made me do it. I was the vessel in which it happened, but I didn't do the killing. And it's an interesting perspective, and it lets Ana Lucia off the hook, at least as far as Saeed is concerned. And I just think that says so much about his character and his capacity of forgiveness and his capacity for mercy. And even him taking his own future into consideration, even when he has been hurt as deeply as he has been hurt. So I found that whole exchange between Saeed and Ana Lucia to be very moving almost, especially Ana Lucia was so vulnerable to him. She said, people don't like me. I gave up on people liking me a long time ago. I tried to get them to like me, but it turns out I'm not likable. And I have felt that way in the past personally, many times, that I'm just an unlikable person and maybe people will never like me. And maybe I should just throw up a whole bunch of walls and not like them back and fuck you, and it takes a while to be able to bust through those walls and to get to that vulnerability, which obviously she feels when she's with Saeed because she hurt Saeed. And that took down any sort of toughness that she puts up around herself because she did the worst thing possible by killing the woman that he loves. So how can she be abrasive to a person that she has done an ultimate hurt to? And I like that dynamic a lot. And I think that it was played out really well between Michelle Rodriguez and Naveen Andrews.
No, I agree with you completely. And the vulnerability that she showed in order just to be able to apologize. Not only that, but to just even approach Saeed for help. This is a man that like you mentioned, like you murdered the person that he loves. And This is somebody who shouldn't have any reason to forgive you, even though it was totally an accident. You would understand if they never forgave you. So for her to even open up enough to ask him for help, even before the apology even happened, says a lot about her character. And it's really a shame because this is one of those moments in the series that, they've kind of, I don't want to say they vilified Ana Lucia, but they kind of made her, an outsider for a while. And this is that episode that they kind of reel that in and make her a likable character again and somebody who could really be a part of this group, only to rip that away from the viewers in like 2 episodes.
I know. It's a shame because you're right. You're right. The episode started off with Locke coming to her for something. She was a part of the group by being the softer touch in an interview with the prisoner at the hatch. And then she went to Saeed and Charlie, who she doesn't know, to help her with the map. So she's integrated herself into this group, and it's happened oddly organically. It's not forced. And she seems to be very careful in this episode, careful when she approaches Saeed. She's cautious when she talks to Locke. She's soft when she interviews Henry Gale. So her character has already made a lot of changes since she accidentally killed Shannon. And it's nice to see the evolution of that character.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and like I said, too, we only have, I think, 4 more episodes with Anna before her fate is sealed with, within this series. So it's great to see the character turn around and us grow to start to like her. But yeah, it's kind of a little too late at this point. And I think, it's one of those things too, that it's actually kind of smart at the same time to turn her character around and make us likable and make her likable to us, because by the time her death comes, we're a little bit more taken by it. Like, if she was still an outsider, we wouldn't have been as affected by her death. So I guess maybe it was kind of smart to turn her around and make her more of the group again, because so that this way, when it actually does happen, there's more feeling to it from the viewers.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that. I agree.
Yeah, because I know for sure there's another character we lose at the same time that we lose Ana Lucia, and I definitely felt it more for Ana Lucia than I did for that other character.
Yeah, agreed.
So, I only have one other thing left on my list.
I got nothing else.
You got nothing else. All right, so then I'm going to wrap with this, and I'm going to kind of see if maybe you feel the same way about this that I do. Okay. First off, I want to say, even though he was the one that, kidnapped Sun from the garden and played the whole aspect of, Sawyer's power play for the guns, it was nice to see a little bit of the old Charlie return, and being a little bit of the levity for the situation that Anna and Sayid are in. I think it was smart to have Charlie go with them on that journey. Because
I got papayas and I got papayas.
Well, because Anna and Sayid are these two dynamic characters with this connection that I think you kind of needed somebody else there to kind of keep that connection a little loose. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think it was smart to have. I think Hurley would have been
a little intense.
Yeah, exactly. But on that note, I want to say that I feel like Sayid and Ana Lucia, while I love their characters and I love the whole dynamic of the apology and everything, not too bright in this episode. There are two glaring things to me that made me second guess their intelligence.
Oh, tell me.
The first one is the fact of, and it kind of it ties a little bit into what Henry says at the end of, like, if I were one of them, I would set this up as a trap. Did these two not think about that? Like,
That's
this could
true.
totally be a trap. Like, you look at these two characters and who they are and what they've been through, as Anna already having dealt with the others before, Sayid having tortured people and seeing the traps that Danielle has set. Did they not consider once that this whole thing could be a trap? Not once did they consider
You're
that.
totally right. I didn't even consider it either until Ben started saying it. But I'm not, an Iraqi torturer or cop. So,
I mean, maybe they thought that if
I'm a mom.
Yeah, I mean, well, in some ways, that's even more dangerous. But maybe they felt that if it was a trap, they could handle it, so they never second guessed it. I don't know, but for me, of all people, these two people should have at least thought this could have been a trap. That's one thing.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great point that I didn't even think of. That's a good point.
The other one. How did you not realize at the moment Charlie had a gun, he was involved with Sawyer's taking of the guns?
Damn!
Because Sawyer had all the guns. How did Charlie get one unless he helped? How did you not? You're a fucking cop. You realized he had a gun on him, but it didn't click that how would he have gotten that gun if he wasn't an accessory to Sawyer's thing, to Sawyer's plan?
Absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
These are two things that were very glaring to me watching this episode that I was like, wait a minute. Of all the characters, these two characters didn't realize this?
Well, especially, I mean, Ana Lucia is sitting there and she's like, I see the gun in your pants. So you're right. A cop should have been like, where did you get that gun?
Yeah. There are no guns. One person has all the guns. How did you get this?
Yeah.
Even if you didn't accuse
him. And the
him,
person that has the guns, he's not very sherry.
Yeah, exactly. Wouldn't that make you kind of start thinking, wait a minute?
What's that song? Things that make you go,
Yeah, exactly.
Things that make you go,
But I mean, they were two things, and I didn't realize them until my second viewing of the episode. The
Interesting.
first viewing, I was like, I didn't think anything of it. And then my second episode, when I was taking notes, I'm like, wait a minute. Like,
Yeah, that's a great point.
How did you not pick up on this? Like,
That's such a good point.
I understand when all the guns were taken and Saeed was there helping. Like, I understand in that whole situation not realizing that he probably had help because you're still in shock of everything happening.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in this situation, like, I just don't get how you didn't, like, that didn't click. So, but that was it. That was all I really had left that, like, of those two things.
But yeah, once you unpack the episode, it's actually a much better episode than at first glance.
Yeah, I agree with that. Because, you know, I started the podcast by saying it wasn't fantastic, but it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we've talked a little bit more about it and broken it down and gotten each other's perspectives on it,
Mm-hmm.
you're right. It's a much better episode than we thought.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll feel that way about Game of Thrones eventually.
I'm not getting into that with you.
No.
I'm not getting into that with you on this
No.
podcast.
No. You shouldn't.
So,
Although we had a nice discussion beforehand, and I was very lovely.
oh yeah. I'm your vent. I'm your vent station, which is fine because
Your
you're
vent station.
because you're mine too, so it works out. So nothing else from you
Nope, I'm good.
as far as that goes. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for next week's episode because next week's episode of Lockdown is just, there's so much that happens in that episode.
And we get to watch it together.
I know, I'm excited. And we get to watch it and podcast about it together, which is going to be great. Meanwhile,
my husband will be there and he'll
Yeah.
be like, oh, I hate my life.
I was just going to say, meanwhile, your husband will be on my couch, like playing PlayStation or something
Right.
while we're
You guys
recording.
are nerds.
As he comments on Game of Thrones stuff online.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
It's so funny, too, because I know in your House Podcastica podcast, when you guys were reading feedback, you read your own husband's feedback. And you were like, well, Dave says. And I'm like, well, that's her husband. I know who that is. Which is fun. But speaking of feedback, we have feedback of our own. Like that segue? That was a good segue. You got to admit it.
I did. I liked it. I thought it was good.
It takes away when I say, like, that was a good segue. But still.
Yeah. Didn't I do a good job?
Didn't I do a good job? How'd I do? I'm like a traveler.
Validate me.
Great. We're going to get comments now. Ben needs validation all the time.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's all right. But yeah, as I mentioned, we do have feedback of our own, and we encourage you guys to leave us feedback, and there are multiple ways that you can do that. First and foremost, we are on Facebook at facebook.com/Lost Revisited.
We are on Instagram at Lost Revisited Pod.
You can email us at lostrevisitedpod@gmail.com.
And if you'd like to leave us a message, you can record yourself and send it to our email address.
So let's kick things off, and we'll play our voicemail from Steve first.
Hello, Ben and Kristen. This is Steve, and this is for The Whole Truth from Lost. And I love the line from Lucia, Jack and Locke are a little too worried about Locke and Jack. I thought that was great. I thought the reversal of names was cool, too. And absolutely love Hurley. He's so, he gives that moment in the episode when we can kind of take a breath, and he runs into Sun, and both of them, if they make this conversation go too long, they're going to have to lie to each other. So he's just like, later, dude. He just keeps going. Then I wrote this down because I want to make sure I get it correctly. At the beginning of the episode, we see a bit of the old Jin coming out. And do you think that is he just being, is it the old Jin, or is he just being overprotective? Or is it a bit of both? And I think it's a bit of both, because he's still learning how to correctly deal with his relationship in a decent way. I mean, he's been this guy who was hard and rough on his wife, and I don't know if he ever physically abused her. I don't think we saw that. We definitely know that he had anger issues, and so he's still learning kind of how to be decent, and we see that at the end that he is learning, and he tells her, and I think it's not just English he's asking her for. He's asking her to teach him how to be decent, how to be a good person, and I know from my memory that later on that she doesn't actually tell him the whole truth. I don't know if she ever does eventually tell him about the affair that she had that still made her wonder. But I do remember enough of this storyline that they do figure out that the baby is Jin's from the gestation period, especially once they get that down the road. Anyway, just a really good episode. I really started to look at and focus on the Jin and Sun relationship more since I heard you all talking about it. Talk to you later.
I love Steve.
Yeah, I love when he leaves his voicemails too. Which he does a lot. He does for a lot of different podcasts, which I think is great.
He's always our last voicemail on House Podcastica.
Hashtag,
Always.
Hashtag I am Steve.
We are Steve.
Or we are Steve. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think, Steve, we did talk a little bit about that, about how whether or not that was being driven by fear or if he's, going back to the old Jin. And I think Steve's right. I think we talked a little bit about that. It is a little bit of both. He's obviously acting out of fear for Sun, with everything that happened to her. But I think Steve's right in the point that, he is still learning, and, his heart is in the right place. It's just a matter of how he's approaching it. Cool. Yeah. So Steve, thanks again for the voicemail. We encourage you guys to leave us voicemail for, any future episodes that we have, coming up. So, and we already told you the ways to do that, but I think that is I think that's just about it for this week's podcast. Yeah. Any final notes before we get ready to get out?
Nope. I'm good.
Yeah, I got nothing else. I mean, the only other thing I can say is, we encourage you guys to check out all the other podcasts on both the Next Level and Podcastica networks. I know right now you guys are in the heat of House Podcastica because of Game of Thrones being in its final season. I know how you feel about that after this last episode.
We are in the heat.
And heap of shit. As trust me, I'm in agreement with you on a lot of your points of that episode. But we're not going to get into that. I know DC Primetime we are getting ready to talk all of the season finales of all of the shows, which have aired 2 this week and 2 next week. So we're taking a break this coming Sunday for Monday, and we're going to put it off for about a week so we can talk about, rather than 2 this week, 2 next week, we're just going to do a big season finale bonanza and talk about all 4 of them at one time.
Bonanza!
In 2 weeks. And then that will actually wrap our fall season of DC Primetime, and then we start gearing up for our summer season, which is we start talking about all the shows on the DC Universe streaming service, which is going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, other than that, I got nothing else to say. If you've got nothing else to say, we can get out of here.
I'm good, Daddy-O.
Oh, Daddy-O.
Daddy-O.
Cool. So with that being said, thank you for listening and being a part of the family of this podcast, as well as all the other podcasts on both networks. Until next time, we'll see you guys further on down that rabbit hole. Take care.
Bye-bye, Daddy-O.
We have to go back, Kate. We have to go back!